Hey guys, this is Curtis Alexander. I'm a pharmacist. In this video, I want to touch on another topic with low thyroid. As many of you know from previous videos, I ate extreme diets for well over a decade, and I ended up developing Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is a type of a low thyroid. And in this video, I want to share another thing that's helped me recover from that, which is adding carbohydrates back in. And I've talked in other videos about how much carbohydrate to add back in, but in this I want to explain why it's important and why it can help you feel better. Before I get into that, make sure to go to my website, curtis-alexander.com. I have a free report there that goes over some other things, natural things that I've done to help myself feel better. I'm 46 now as I make this. I feel better now than I did at 26, so make sure to go there and grab that. So just a real quick backstory. Some of you may know this. I was very low carb, keto, carnivore for well over a decade, probably closer to 15 years. And during that time, I initially felt better, and then things started to go bad. And what happened is I went into the doctor and I showed up as insulin resistant. I had a fasting blood sugar that put me in the diabetic range, even though I was eating less than 50 grams of carbs a day. I was constantly cold. My body temperature ran high 96, low 97. I was always cold. My pulse was very low. These are all signs of a very low metabolism. And so it was a shock to me when I was diagnosed as Hashimoto's, but that's what it was. So as you begin to research, you understand carbohydrates as part of your recovery are critical to helping your thyroid operate effectively. I made a video a little while ago. One of the other things I stopped doing was fasting. That was killing my thyroid. And so this is about adding carbs back in. So we want to understand, why are carbs so important? If you go anywhere now, all the gurus are like, don't eat carbs, you'll get diabetes, all this, that, and the other thing. And that's just not true if you understand biochemistry. So your thyroid really drives your metabolism, and you have essentially two thyroid hormones, T4 and T3. Despite what some people say, both of them are active. There are tissues in your body that utilize T4. But for the point of our metabolism in this discussion, we want our body to be able to convert T4 to T3. This is the more active form of your thyroid. But to be able to do that, you have to have some factors that are in place in your body, because if you don't, you're not going to come out of that low thyroid state. One of which is you have to have enough glucose. Now, people will say, well, your body can get glucose by eating in keto. And that's technically true, but it's a stress-induced system. You don't want to be stressed, because if you are, that's going to tank your thyroid as well. So we want to give it the glucose from natural carbohydrate sources to help fuel that conversion from T4 to T3. The other thing that you need to have in place, this T4 to T3 occurs in a number of different organs, but primarily it occurs in your liver. You have to have a healthy liver for that to happen, and your liver has to have a healthy store of glycogen to be considered healthy, among other things. We already talked about, you want to have decreased cortisol levels. These extreme diets, by their definition, and particularly the longer you do them, it puts your body in a stress state. It has to rely on the adrenal glands to kick out more of the stress hormones to convert your fatty acids into energy. It's a stress, it's a backup energy system. It's not what your body wants to operate on. It does want carbohydrates. So we want to keep those cortisol levels down, which means avoiding extreme diets and giving yourself carbohydrates. And finally, back to your liver, you do want to be careful about some of the drugs that you might be taking. If you're taking a lot of Tylenol, that can stress your liver. Okay, so the point is, carbohydrates, your body's preferred source of fuel is glucose. You can either give it that through backup stress mechanisms, which will hurt your thyroid, or you can give it those things through natural carbohydrates. Now, when I discovered this kind of carbohydrate link to my thyroid, Like this morning, I measured my temperature first thing in the morning, still lying in bed, and my temperature's over 98 now. My pulse runs about 72. I'm not cold anymore. I sleep better. Many things have improved. I just feel better overall. But there were some mistakes I made along the way, adding carbs in. Number one, I added them too fast. I get people coming to me who are like, hey, I add carbs back in and my blood sugars shoot up. And you have to understand, you've spent years eating a certain way, keto or carnivore, whatever it may be. You've trained your body to operate off free fatty acids. It's the same thing I did. And so when you give it natural carbohydrate sources, you're still insulin resistant. It really doesn't know what to do with those. So you are going to have to add the carbohydrates in very, very slowly. And by slowly, I would probably, 10 to 20 grams extra in a week, per day. Don't go above that. So if you're eating 50 grams a day now, try 60 or 70, maybe a little more towards bedtime. It will probably help you sleep better. And then next week, bump it up another 10 to 20 grams and just see how you do. The biggest thing with this, you're going to have to be patient. I was not patient enough in the beginning. And the other thing, you have to be very careful about the types of carbs you're adding in. You want to add in carbohydrates that are very easily digestible in your gastrointestinal system. And that's going to mean things like honey, fruit, very ripe fruit. You don't want fruit that's not ripe. Even some maple syrup if it's natural, those sorts of things. Potatoes are great as a carbohydrate source, but maybe not this early on. You want to have very easily digestible stuff. So I hope this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you struggle with your thyroid, if you've ate extreme diets like I did, and if this makes sense to you, if you find it valuable. It was a big thing for me. Carbohydrates are not the enemy, no matter what people tell you. They're very beneficial if you eat the right ones and do it in the right way. So again, let me know in the comments, and it's helpful for me. It's helpful for other viewers, and I hope this video was helpful. So I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks.